Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera and good day to all students that are taking this course, which is the course for HIREC. As you know, this for today's lecture is actually the continuity from the previous lecture. So for this today lecture, I will be continuing on the chapter 6, which is electric and also electronic industry. Before we go further, let me take some kind of refreshment regarding what HIREC is all about. Actually, the HIREC fall under the jurisdiction of the law of OSHA and also its regulation. HIREC actually is a compound word which is made up of three consecutive activities which actually is actually interrelated with each other. Okay, these activities actually consist of the first part is hazard identification, and after you have finished your hazard identification, you will proceed with risk assessment, and last one of the part of IRAC is actually the risk control. For the hazard identification is about recognizing of things which may cause injury or harm to a person, and then risk assessment, which is the second part of IRAC, is actually you looking at the possibility of injury or harm occurring to a person if exposed to a hazard. And then the introduction of measure which will eliminate or reduce the risk of a person being exposed to a hazard is known as the third part of HIRAC, which is risk control. So why we need to know about HIRAC is because it is the core business of all OSH person, safety committee members, supervisor, and etc. And also, HIRAC is also is a directive from the Chief Secretary of the Government Service to all government department, to all industry players in Malaysia, so that they will operate in a safe and also regulated environment. Okay. Before the process of identifying any hazard begin, it is necessary to know how to classify this hazard, risk, and danger. So what is risk actually? Hazard actually. So hazard is actually anything that can cause harm, while risk is a possibility of harm actually being done. And last one is what is danger? Is a danger is the relative exposure to a hazard. So I hope this serves some kind of refreshment for you to understand what HIREC is all about. So for this today's chapter is also part of a HIREC courses. So for today's chapter, we will focus on the sector of electric and electronic industry. And then for this chapter, we will to identify what the HIREC for this chapter, how to identify the hazard and how to do the risk assessment, and then last one how to do the risk control. At the same time, we will also want to know to identify the hazard, the risk, and also the danger that we normally encounter when working in electric or electronic industry. Okay, for today outline course, okay, the course will be subdivided into 6 subchapter. The first one is the background of the industry itself, the workplace hazard in electronic industry, the hazard identification technique, so how you identify the hazard, so it will be explained in this subtopic. And then after you have also already identified the hazard, and then you need to do the risk control to contain the hazard, the risk that come out from the hazard. So it will be covered in the chapter 6.4, and then in 6.45 we will look into further into what is IREX about, and this chapter will be summarized in the subtopic of 6.6. Okay. For this topic, the learning outcome will be as listed in the slide. Okay, the first one, after completing this topic, okay, the student that are taking this course will be able to evaluate a final report on the collected real practice obtained from electric and electronic industry in safety and health engineering technologies. And then the second learning outcome from this topic is that we expect you to express in communicating OSH language to the electric and electronic industry situation. And then the third learning outcome is that we expect the student to be able to assess risk and also at the same time to assess hazard that normally encounter in electronic and industry experience. And then Last learning outcome that we expected that student to gain from this topic is that students are able to develop OSH management at a workplace systematically. Okay. Okay, before we go further, okay, about electric and electricity in industry, we must actually must to know what electricity is all about, the fundamental knowledge of it, and then from when knowing we already knowing the fundamental knowledge of electricity, how it works, and only then we can assess the hazard, identify the risk, and then take control of how do we want to adapt with the hazard which we identify. Okay, so this is a slide is actually a little history of what electricity is. Okay, in 6000 before century or BC, static electricity still a Greek found that when amber was rubbed with silk, it attract feathers and other light objects. So from this, he had discovered static electric. And then the Greek word for amber is electron, from which we get electricity and also electronic. In 16,000, William Gilbert, which is an inventor, invented the term electricity. William Gilbert is actually a scientist and also a physician to the Queen Elizabeth I, in which he coined the term electricity. He was the first person to describe the Earth's magnetic field and to realize that there is a relationship between magnetism and electricity. And then in 1752, Franklin, which is also in US inventor, proved that lighting is a form of electricity, in which Benjamin Franklin flew a kite with a metal tip into the thunderstorm to prove that lighting is a form of electricity. So this scenario is conducted in which Benjamin Franklin fly his kite to show to audience of that proof that lighting is a form of electricity. And then in 1820s, Hans Christian Ørsted discovered magnetic field caused by electricity. Hans Christian Ørsted of Denmark found that when electricity flows to a wire, it produces a magnetic field that affects the needle and a neighbor's compass. Whereas in 1821, Michael Faraday discovered is a discovery that led to the invention of electric motor, in which Michael Faraday discovered that when a magnet is moved inside a coil of copper wire, a tiny electric current flows through the wire. This discovery later led to the invention of electric motor. And then, whereas in 1826, Andre Ampere explained the electrodynamic theories, in which Andre Ampere published his theory about electricity and magnetism. And then he actually was the first person to explain the electrodynamic theories. Okay, so the unit of electric ampere current was named after him, which is now known as ampere, to recognize his contribution regarding the field of electric history. And then, furthermore, a little bit of history. In 1827, George Ohm published his complete mathematical theory of electricity. Okay, George Ohm is actually a German college teacher, and in which he published his complete mathematical theory of electricity. And the unit of electrical resistance was later named after him to recognize of his contribution in this field. And furthermore, in 1831, the first telegraph machine was created by the Charles Wheatstone and William Forgill Coke, in which they created the first telegraph machine. This is an example of how the first telegraph machine, which is first being invented in 1821. Okay, and then this further picture here show the uh, figure of George Ohm, which is the German college teacher, which published his complete mechanical theories of electricity. In 1838, Samuel Morse invented Morse code. Here, at an invention in New York, Samuel Morse demonstrated sending 10 words in a minute by his new telegraph machine. He used a system of dots and dashes here, which later became standard throughout the world, known as Morse code. Furthermore, in 1870s, Thomas Edison built a DC electric generator. Thomas Edison built a direct current, also known as DC, electric generator in America to provide New York City the first electricity at that time. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell further invented the telephone, okay, in which Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, in which is using the electricity to transmit speech for the first time. So during 1876 is the first time in which the electricity is able being used to transfer speech via telephone. In 1878, further research and also further expands in the knowledge of electric has enabled Joseph Swan to demonstrate the first electric light, in which Thomas Edison is using this knowledge or basic fundamental to demonstrate the first electric light with a carbon filament lamp. However, in 1879, there was the first recorded fatal accident due to electric shock. At that time, this is the first recorded fatal accident also associated with electric shock, because at that time when people start to develop and also research regarding the electricity, they actually have actually um, less knowledge or few knowledge regarding how to work with electricity, because the electricity at this time is something knowledge is that is or theory that is quite new at that time. So in 18,000, Nikola Tesla devised the AC, also known as alternating current system, for electrical transition that is used in homes, businesses, and industry today. Nikola Tesla also invented the motor that ran on AC and designed the world's first hydroelectric plant, in which his hydroelectric plant is being built in Niagara Falls in New York City. Okay. In 1895, the first electric handrail became available. So the first electric handrail is being invented by Wilfin. So as you can see, throughout this history, the knowledge regarding electricity is being developed, and then we will be developed progressively, and then we can see finally what is being invented by the previous year actually can be seen and be used by us in normal daily life. For example, how are we using our laptop, how we are using electricity to light up our house, how we are using electricity to work to work, how we are using the electric car, how we are using electric motorcycle, how we are using electric train. So based on this history, you can see how the first people found the electricity, how they progressed throughout the years to develop what we have already achieved today. Okay, so basically, is electricity? What is the so-called electricity? How it is being conducted? How it is being passed through from one point to one point? And how electricity is being generated? So for this subtopic, we will know what electricity is all about. Electricity is actually everywhere in our daily life. If we If you look around us, we will notify the presence of electricity everywhere in our normal daily encounter. Okay, as you know, electricity light up our homes, cook our food using the cooker, power our computer, okay, our laptop, our devices. It also power our television set and other electronic devices. Electricity or direct current from batteries start our car, makes our flashlight shine in the dark. But what electricity? For people keep asking, what electricity? We normally encounter electricity in our daily life, but what is electricity is all about actually? Okay, where does it come from? How does it work? What are the hazards when we working or we are using the electricity? And then before we understand all that, we need to know a little bit more about atom and their structure. All matter is made up of atom, meaning that everything is made up of the fundamental basic building block, which is the atom itself. An atom also is made up of a smaller particles. In any atom that made up any matter, there are three particles making up an atom, which are the proton, neutron, and also electron. Electron spin around the center or the nucleus. The nucleus is made up of neutron and proton. Electron contain a negative charge, proton a positive charge, whereas the neutron are neutral. They have either positive nor a negative charges. Okay. And whereas each atom has a specific number of electron, proton and neutron. But no matter how many particles an atom has, the number of electrons usually need to be the same as the number of proton, meaning that they need to be a balance between the number of proton and also the number of electron. If the number are the same, the atom is called balanced and it is very stable. So if an atom has a six proton, it also need to have six electron. Okay, the element with six proton and six electron is also known as carbon. Carbon is found abundant in suns, star, comet, atmosphere, and also most of planet. And the food we eat actually made up of the fundamental building block, which is the carbon. Gold is also made up of carbon, so as diamond. Okay. Some kind of atom have loosely attached electron. An atom that lose electron has more proton than electron and is positively charged. Okay. An atom that gain electron has more negative particle and is negatively charged. A charged atom is called an ion. Electron can be made move to one atom to another, meaning that electron is very dynamic. It can move from one atom to another. When those electrons move between the atom, the current of electricity generated. So once the atom is being moving from electron is moving from one atom to another, this is where the current of electricity is being developed or created. Okay, the electron move from one atom to another in a flow. Okay, one electron is attached and another electron is lost. Okay, since all atom wants to be balanced, okay, the atom that has been unbalanced will look for electron that to fill the place of the missing one. We say this unbalanced atom has a positively charge because it has too many protons. Since it got kicked off, the free electron move around, waving for unbalanced atom to give it a home. Okay, so the free electron charge is negative and has no proton to balance it. So we say it as a negative charge. Okay. So what do positive and negative charge has to do with electricity? So you get wondering, why I need to learn about the proton? Why I need to know about the electron? Why I need to know the mobility of the proton and also electron in an atom? What does it have to do with electricity? So from here, from this slide, we will know what is electricity and what is the function of positive and negative charge have to do with electricity. Okay, so the more positive atom or negative atom you have, the stronger electric attraction for the others. Since we have both positive and negative charge group attracted to each other, like a couple, we say the positive and negative charge will be attracted to each other. So we call this as the total attraction charge. So it will known as a total attraction charge. So when electron move among the atom of matter, a current of electricity is created. This is what happens in a piece of wire. Okay, the electrons are passed from atom to atom, creating an electrical current from one end to another end. Okay, okay. So basically, the fundamental of electricity is that is the flow of electron through conductor. So you can see here, this is to give you a better how you want to picture how the electron is flowing from one atom to another. Okay, so in this case on the left figure, you can see the electron are in the free movement. uh, and then it will be moving in between each metal atom. Okay, electron in this case move in no particular direction. Okay, they are moving between each atom with no in no particular direction. Therefore, no electric current is being created. However, when in the figure on the right side, however, when the electron start moving in one direction, you can see here the electron is moving in one direction. It will in one direction from one atom to another atom. It will simultaneously created an electric current. So, when the electron is moving in a particular direction from one atom to another, it will simultaneously create electricity to the material. However, as you know, different material have a different electricity properties because electricity is conducted better in some materials than others. It is resistance measure how well something conduct electricity. Something hold their electron very tightly. Electron do not move through them very well. Okay, these things are called insulator. Rubber, plastic, clothes, glass, dry air are good insulator because they have a high resistance. Okay, other material that has some loosely held electron which move through them very easily. Okay, these type of materials are known as conductor because electron can move easily and freely. Okay, between them. Okay, most metal, for example, like copper, aluminium, or steel, are a good conductor actually. So in this slide, you can able be see. Okay, the properties of electric. Okay, what is the basic properties of electric? Of any electric, for it enable to move from one point A to point B, it must have a complete circuit. Because without a complete circuit, the electron will be not able to move from one atom to another. So the circuit must be a complete for the current to go through. And then the second properties, fundamental properties of electric is in which the electricity or the from the of the current will seek easiest and all pass to the ground. So that's why you need to know the hazard in it. Electricity will find the easiest and it also will find all paths for it to go to the ground. Okay, okay. So um, in this subtopic, we will look in a bit into the electricity in the background of in the industry. Okay, how is being used progressively, and also how it's being used extensively in industry. Okay, electricity actually is one of the energy form that refer to the flow of electron. All structure are made up and of atom and have a central central nucleus. Okay, for humanity, electricity is a necessity. How, as you know, electricity is a must. In everyday life, we will and normally and we must encounter the use of electricity in our daily life. Okay, it is secondary source of energy which humans use in their daily life. Electricity can be obtained from a lot of sources. For example, by combining other sources, okay, such as coal, natural gases, oil, and also nuclear power. Whereas the natural sources of electricity is the principal source. Okay, normally most cities are built in the vicinity of waterfall, which are the main source of mechanical energy by turning the water wheel to work. The concept of electricity is over time has become popular. In the mid 1980s, as a result of the invention of electricity, all life changed. Okay, since 1879, electricity has been used to provide outdoor lighting in arc lamp. Okay, and the latest saturation of electric light bulb for indoor lighting is introduced for the home. Whereas the electric generator used to be a machine generated dynamo electricity, also known as today as generator. This is a tool used to transform mechanical energy into electrical energy. There is an electrical energy session that also use turbine, engines, water, wheels or other similar machine to power electric generator or device in which it will convert the mechanical or mechanical energy into electricity. The most widely used method for producing electricity are steam turbine, internal combustion engine, gas turbine, water turbine, and also wind turbine. Then before okay, so for this subtopic, we look into the scenario of electrical and electronic landscape in Malaysia. Okay, we will the first type of scenario we will look into the hydro power station. The hydro power station is are using the water okay from the dam as the main generator to turn the turbine okay plus to generate electricity for the country needs. The use of hydropower station can also save on environmental solution. So basically, the electricity that's being generated via the hydropower station is also known as a green energy. Okay. For the thermal power station, it will use a fuel such as coal and also gas to heat the boiler. And then once the boiler is being heated, it will eventually produce high pressure steam to rotate the turbine fan. And then from the rotation of the turbine fan, it will generate a high pressure steering it the main steering that high pressure steering, which is the main force driving force for thermal power station. Whereas there is also another type of get another type of station that produce electricity, which is the gas power station. The gas power station use a high pressure gas as their primary source of power for rotation. Okay, for rotation of the turbine fan. Via the high pressure gas produced from the combustion boiler, it will then be compressed via the air compression. Okay, and then the gas power station also need water to cool off the boiler. So basically, okay, this slide is actually will give you a little in-depth, in-depth history of electricity development in Malaysia. Okay, as we know, electricity was first introduced in Malaya. Malaysia at that time was known as Malaya, from a small mining town in Rawang, Selangor, at the end of 20th centuries, and recorded for the earliest powder generation. So in Malaysia, we only compared to compared to foreign countries such as United States, also Europe companies, they also known as electricity since 18,000s. Okay. However, for us, it's quite different. We only be introduced to electricity during the 20th centuries. Okay, in which okay, this mining district in mining town in Rawang is being developed by two individual which construct a series of electric generator to run their mine in 1987. They are the first entrepreneur to use electric pump and beginning of the country electric supply for Malaya mining and also Scar Label. Private supply for the construction of street light are also being extended in Rawang Selangor urban area. Train station in Kuala Lumpur first had electricity in 1895. Okay. Meanwhile, Sempan Hydroelectric Power Station in Raub Pahang was built in 19,000 by Raub Australian Gold Mining Company and was established in Malaya as the first electric power station at that time. Okay, so everyone, this is the end for lecture for today. I hope you will go through the videos and then afterwards I will share with you the reading materials which is already in your module. So I hope you go through the module and also this video to give you better understanding of the first background of electricity, their history and how electricity is being developed before we go further into the next subtopics in our next lecture. I hope you have a great day ahead. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera.